Hello and welcome everybody. A question I get a lot is, what is the difference between a front-loaded drive and a drive where you try to accelerate the boat over the middle part of the stroke? So some people say it's a front and a back-loaded drive. I more try to emphasize on the middle part of the drive. So this is the perpendicular position of the oars, and this is where all the music should be playing. So Alex, could you please go to the catch for a second? What I'm looking for when I work with boats is to get into that crucial phase. So please make a slow leg drive. Slow leg drive. Okay, stop. Alex can see himself right on that screen. So we have a camera right next to the camera that you are seeing us now through. And that camera is connected to the TV, so he sees himself from the side. He knows exactly where he is. Okay, a bit further back. Stop. And the closer we get to that perpendicular position of the oars, which is the 90-degree angle, the more effective your upper body pivot will be. Now, the upper body pivot doesn't always come at the same point of time, but it is absolutely crucial that you do have a solid leg drive first. So at this point of time, your hip should still be in a position that makes sense to accelerate that boat. So the hip here should actually be in a suitable position to move. Some people cheat a bit. They have a round hunched back right there, so the hip is actually pointing backwards and there's nothing to accelerate. So now if you want to pivot the upper body, all you've got left is half of the trunk. Only if you have fully loaded entire trunk, which means that the hip and the lat and the shoulders, this is one line, then you have one force vector. So you get the force vector from the arms into the shoulders, right down into the hip, which is a natural rotation point of force, into the legs, knees, and feet. So the fewer rotation points of force you have, the more effective you can row. Now let's do the other way around. Let's try to simulate a front-loaded drive stroke. Please go to the catch position for a second. Okay, at a front-loaded drive, the intention is to make sure that we accelerate the boat right from the catch and that we are able to cope with high boat speeds. But the solution is not a front-loaded drive. So this is where I state my opinion. I think a front-loaded drive is ineffective, period. This is my opinion. I know there are a lot of different opinions out there, and I'm not Mr. Know-It-All, but my personal opinion, and it's actually, I'm convinced, I'm 100% sure that a front-loaded drive is ineffective, period. And this is the reason why. First up, if you start to drive really hard with your legs right now, what will happen? A lot of force will travel right through the legs into your knees and hip. Now, the first weak point of every rower naturally is this part right there. No matter how effectively you position your back, this is still going to be, it's still going to need some amount of effort to keep that back somewhat straight. Same with the shoulder. You cannot have a relaxed shoulder that has to transfer all the leg power you can possibly apply. Most of us have a leg press way beyond 300 kilos, but nobody's able to do anything 300 kilos with your shoulders. So to me, it's complete nonsense to try to apply everything you've got with your legs first. It just doesn't work. So what happens? Alex will now try to do a fully front-loaded drive, a fully hard catch. Okay, just a couple of strokes. The funny thing is that Alex's problem is actually that he's by nature pretty efficient. He's a very good rower, and for him it was not so easy to make a bad stroke. So you see a bit of shoulder cramping, you see a bit of early pivot of the upper body, but he still has a very long leg drive. So it is probably not the best example in the world, but I hope you get what we mean. He needs a lot of time before he actually gets the drive done. Please go to the catch once more. Let me explain what happens. The moment you start to apply full leg force and it travels right into the hip, this muscle is not prepared to handle a lot of explosive load. It simply isn't. You cannot expect this part of your muscles to work with 200 kilos or 300. Same with the shoulders. So you naturally have a compensation effect, and compensation is always a shock reaction. So it would be a cramping of the shoulders, making a hunched back, and everything results in having less force on your handles because the body protects itself. So the result of this is that usually your body contracts muscles unnecessarily. There's an unnecessary shoulder contraction, just a minor one, but you do create tension that is actually counterproductive, because what you want to have is like a loose shoulder, a bit of loose shoulder with a bit of pre-tension, but no tight muscle can get a loose pre-tension. That's simply not possible. So with having a very hard catch and a so-called front-loaded drive, you basically get yourself into a position where you waste a lot of energy. And the second part, and that's the more problematic part from my point of view, is that please go to the catch once more. Okay. Let's just slow-mo everything and exaggerate. So cramp your shoulders a bit. Pivot the upper body slightly. Okay. Now go back a bit. Back. Stop. In this point, at this position, you cannot possibly transfer a lot of force anymore, and there's no way you can have a fully effective pivot of the trunk. If you manage to keep your back straight, which is actually rarely ever the case, so let's get a hunched back and cramp. Exactly. So this is a classic. That's almost exaggerated. It's a bit less. Okay. So, and please bend your arms a bit. This is also exactly. So this usually happens, and no, I'm not in that position. Have a slow-mo of yourself. It's quite exhausting to sit like this. Alex is sweating like hell. So at this point of time, you don't have the hip available anymore. Please get a hunched hip position. Exactly. So you don't have that motion capacity left. Now, more leg drive. Exactly. And what happens is you feel like, oh, there's not enough, I haven't pivoted enough. So then people start to lean back more, not necessarily. And then the drama part 2 starts, the shoulder moves down instead of back, because that angle is already a bad one to accelerate. So let's recap everything. Relaxed position. Good. What we want is a soft pickup. A soft pickup, which means you don't kill your shoulders, you don't kill your hip. So gently start to apply force. All right, gently. Make sure everything gets into the hang and stop. And another excellent byproduct of giving yourself a bit of time is that the lat can actually try to, let the forces, the lat can start to work. If you bend too early, if you cramp your shoulders, the force is being transferred over the shoulders right into the center back. But if you give yourself a bit of time, force runs through the lat, and the lat is directly connected to the rest of your trunk muscles. And then it's much easier to activate the entire trunk. All right, another byproduct or another reason why you should never have a front-loaded drive is that you see the inboards are pointing away from the boat, which means the blade would actually now be traveling away from the boat. And there's absolutely no reason why I should try to put power on the blade that is not in a good position to accelerate the boat. So the question, please relax for a second. The question would be, why do we catch that far, at the catch anyway? Usually 70, max 80 degree angle catch. Most people 70 degree. Trust me, if we work on the bi rower, if a person gets more than an 80 degree catch, that's already rare if we have the true boat set up here. So why would you even catch at 70 degrees? Because you need time to connect. In the old days, when we had very soft material, it was absolutely crucial to have a very, very wide reach at the catch, while we needed very tall people because everything was weak and bended and just gave in. Now, as we use more elaborate technique, and especially the Randall foils, they allow you to have an immediate force connection at the catch, because the blade is not going up and down and up and down and up and down. And therefore, boom, immediate force connection at the catch. And if you then have a front-loaded drive with the Randall foils, which basically avoid going up and down, then you basically kill yourself. So with the Randall foils, if you want to use the full potential, you have to row effectively. And effectively, in my opinion, means to have a bit of a softer catch and to try to work over the middle part of the stroke. If you check the video on the Lightweight Men's Double Scull, Jason Osborne said the same thing. They worked on having a soft catch and have more drive over the middle part of the stroke. All right. What most people do, please come to the catch once more, something highly ineffective. If you cramp too much at the catch, you bend your arms, cramp the shoulders, pivot upward. All right. You see that your hands are more traveling upwards than backwards. Please relax. And once you start that upward motion, your blade is going down and it's being sucked deeper into the water. And a blade that is moving up and down in the water like this cannot possibly create full force connection horizontally. So therefore, the catch always feels soft Although as a matter of fact, you just position your body in a very bad way, so therefore you never get full force connection. The solution cannot be to kick harder with your legs. Then you just make the problem worse. I hope that's logical. Good. So again, the solution and what we aim for, please go to the catch once more, is to have a somewhat relaxed shoulder, be able to transfer everything into the lat and have a solid hip position here, and then just gently pick up whatever you can handle with your shoulders and hip and try to get that boat going. Please do so, slow motion. All right, all right, all right. And now is the time to pivot, use that upper body weight. Boom. There you go. Okay. I hope that's clear. Just one more thing. Randall foils and blade depth. Please go to catch once more. As the randall foils basically prevent you from going too deep, they force your hands to be in a very stable position when you go backwards. So there's no up and down anymore. And as we just elaborated before, hands up and down motion is always the result of bad upper body positioning. So the only people who have problems with the Randall foil catch are usually people who do have a very deep water and blade work at the catch. Ja, und dann vorne richtig hart werden, zu hart reingehen, geht der Oberkörper auf, Schulterkrampfen, Arme. Ja, genau. Genau. Und das wollen wir eben nicht. Okay, stopp.
Also beim Front-Loaded Drive habe ich vorne sehr viel Druck am Blatt, klar. Okay, nochmal.
Hast du Druck am Blatt oder hast du nur das Gefühl, Druck auf der Hand zu haben?
Das weiß ich eben nicht. Es fühlt sich nach sehr viel Druck an, aber Richtung Ende dann passiert nicht mehr wirklich viel.
Das heißt, der Schlag wird weicher und wird leerer Richtung Endzug.
Das Boot scheint vorne zu beschleunigen, doch über die Mitte und in Richtung Ende dann hin passiert nicht mehr sehr viel mit dem Boot. Also die Beschleunigung geht eigentlich immer weiter runter.
Yeah. The reason why this happens is that at the catch you basically take away all the motion capacity of the body, and towards the finish of a stroke the boat actually runs away from you. So you did all the acceleration here, but around the perpendicular it's gone where the most effective phase of the drive would actually be. So this is why it feels hard at the catch. But what feels tough at the catch is not horizontal resistance in front of the blade. What feels hard is the blade goes deeper. And the deeper it gets, pushes water aside, the more it feels like resistance. Because at this point of time you cannot really separate, is it now really forcing a blade that's horizontal, or is it just difficult to get that blade deeper into the water? You just don't feel it. Und wenn du versuchst, die Schulter vorne locker zu haben, eine Vorspannung zu haben. Wie machst du das? Wie fühlt sich das an?
Ich probiere die Kraft über meine Fußballen durch meinen ganzen Körper zu leiten und dieselbe Kraft von den Fußballen auch auf den Handflächen zu spüren. Und das geht eben nur, wenn ich wirklich locker vorne im Schlag drin hänge und hier schön locker bin und hier keine Aktivität stattfindet. Dadurch kann ich schön den Schlag aufladen und das Ergebnis ist, dass ich vorne locker reinkomme, ich spüre, wie sich das Blatt verankert und die Ruder sich sofort biegen. Ich kann diesen Druck aufbauen und werde immer schneller und über die Mitte habe ich dann richtig viel Energie, um in den Endzug das Boot nochmal durchzubeschleunigen.
The essence of the entire story is very simple. The most important thing is that you apply as much force with your legs as your shoulders and hands can handle. There is absolutely no point in applying 200 kilos on your feet just because the legs can do it, but your shoulders are never capable of handling it. So make sure you only apply what your shoulders, hands, and hip can actually handle. All right, guys, that's it. More questions, the Arm Training Facebook group, link is in the description. For the rest, have a good day. Bye-bye.